Thank you. Good morning, ladies. Are we all awake? No? Do we need a little icebreaker? Now, I know that we're running a little short on time, but one thing I don't like to do is jeopardize the quality of information that I have to share for you. So first, to begin with, give yourself a round of applause for taking the effort to come and attend today. Because I understand that the complement of the school is upwards of 200. Is that 250? With girls alone?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
And I don't think we have 100 ladies here today. No? So again, I commend you for taking this invitation from your school to listen to this topic on navigating the digital world. Now, I did a very special topic for you all today in recognition of International Women's Day. And as we understand the hashtag Each for Equal, you will gain a better understanding of what it is that I want to share with you today. So I would really appreciate it if I could get the attention of everyone while I have my conversation. To begin with, I would like to have someone assist me with the mic, because we don't have a mic stand, and I just want to sort of do a little explanation before I start. So is there anyone willing to just come and hold a mic? There we go. Perfect. Give her a round of applause. So this is an example. And your name is? Rena. Thank you very much. So Rena will be my human mic stand for the next few minutes. So this is an example of cyberbullying, and I want you to pay particular attention. Do we all understand the term cyberbullying? Yes. Yeah? Why are you shaking? I'm not going to breathe in and out. Breathe. Relax. Don't hide my face. So cyberbullying is the act of tormenting someone on the internet or using a device, right? Any cyberbullies in the audience? Anyone may have probably been cyberbullied? Probably, yeah? And when we get cyberbullied online, what happens? Someone may have posted something bad about you. So just consider this to be your profile, right? Whether it is Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever it is, this is your profile. And it might start off really nice and neat. But when someone says something bad to you online, immediately your digital footprint, your online profile becomes tarnished, right? And you know, it might move from a really nice, clean piece of sheet of paper to what starts to look like garbage. And you know what happens when someone says something bad about somebody on the internet? What would you do? What would you do? You might get vexed. But you know what we all tend to do? We tend to share. We tend to click share. And we tend to make this thing more viral. And you know what? What really should have been just a little spark between you and your friend turned out to be something that is present throughout the entire world. And now how are you going to come out of this on the internet? Because every time somebody Google your name, they're going to find all of those what? Really bad things that have been said, right? So the thing is, you have ways. You have ways in which you can actually deal with things like this on the internet. So anybody has an example? If someone says something bad about you, what should you do? Remember, they keep saying bad things. They keep saying bad things. Well, for every bad thing somebody says, you can say something good. Yeah, that's how Google works, you know. So you say a whole set of bad things, right? So when you say a whole set of bad things, then you come on and you start to say good things, right? So you come and you say, all right, what's a good thing you can say about somebody on the internet? Well, this sounds like a classic cyberbully here because she don't have any answer, right? Good morning, how are you? You look well today. You did good in school yesterday. And if you keep putting in all of those nice things, then eventually bad things would disappear, right? So the bad things would disappear, right? So you keep saying nice things, and then all of a sudden, when someone Googles your name, they're not going to see that burst up profile. They're going to see a profile that looks really fantastic. It looks really fun. It looks pretty. And it is something It is something that you will be proud of sharing, right? So we know now that I have your attention, let us get into the real crux of the matter today. Right? So we all here? Are we all here? Great. Who do you think this is? Questions. But I want you to raise your hand so that I could call you out. Who do you think this is? No, raise your hand and I will call you out. Any guesses? Start with B. Only don't understand English. Raise your hand up. You raise your hand up. And who is it? Beyonce. Give her a round of applause. Right? This is Beyonce back in the day, and this is Beyonce today. So remember that, right? Good. Now I will need you just to come and stand on the side of me, please. You know what? If you want, you can just have a seat. Special invited guests. So cyberbullying. Girls, read this. Perpetrators of cyberbullying. Do you agree? So far my research has tended to follow along this line. And one of the reasons why, because cyberbullying amongst girls is often not recognized. You know why? Because all you're real smart. You all have very unique ways of perpetrating that act. Now, and by that I mean, boys often tend to become a little bit more physically violent. Even though within recent times, and you will notice in my slide here, I scratch off R because recently we have actually seen incidences of girls like yourself jumping off themselves and jumping up on top of somebody and, you know, firing a few cuffs and things. Because I believe that what happens online in terms of you being upset with someone really should not make its way into the physical world, right? Now here are some of the techniques that not only young ladies like yourself use, but also the guys. So alienation or exclusion. So we may have some groups in school, right? And because you don't wear that kind of shoe, I'm not talking to you. Yeah? And then you may have someone who will feel very ostracized because they probably can't afford the shoe in the first place. So think about that. Now there are many things here: hate speech, emotional verbal abuse. But I have some that's highlighted in red because I told them we may have some particular situations in this school, and we will speak a little bit more about it as we go along. So the one that I want to pay a little bit of focus on is outing. Do we know what outing is? Not what we are on today. No, outing is sharing of private photos. Right? So let's keep that in mind. I have another question, and again, please raise your hand to answer. Who do you think this is? No, not 6'9". Now raise your hand, please. Raise your hand. Ready for the hint? Yes. It starts with P. Do you have to raise your hand? And no, it's not Post Malone. One more guess. Pitbull. Yes, correct. Come on, you come on the top. You come to the front. Come to the front. Come to the front. So that's a picture of, now I want you to remember these images. This is a picture of before, when he was younger, and this is a picture now. Alright? So you're also one of the specially invited guests. Have a seat. So I have a question for the young ladies in the audience. Yeah? And I know that there are many of you who will be willingly sharing your goal. Right? But there may be some who may have some things in their phone that they would prefer others not to see. Yeah? And why is that? Because, and we will leave it at that, right? So let's move on. Why did, and you fill in the blanks, share news? Yeah? Why did that happen? Right? Because he asked. Right? Because he's good looking. Because other girls doing it. Because you like him. Now, do you think any of those is a genuine, valid reason for you to compromise your position? But still, I am almost certain that there is at least one person in here who may have fallen prey under that. You think so? Yeah? Remember the theme of our International Women's Day? Each for equal. Engaging in this type of activity does not make you equal, ladies. It makes you less. It makes you less valuable. It makes you less worthy, confident, safe, and strong. Believe you me, any individual, any boy, who were to ask you to share that type of individual is not worth his weight in salt. Remember that. Remember what you're going through now, all of these changes that you might be having. It's just temporary. And you will begin to understand as you get older what we are saying now. The technology today makes it so easy for you to lose yourself and lose who you truly are. Because we use our phones almost as if it's another appendage to our bodies. Correct? If you were without your phone or internet access, you almost completely can't function. Right? You go on a vacation, you don't want to know whether or not it have hot water. You want to know if it have what? Yeah, I didn't need to say it. Right. Because this is, and that's absolutely fine. There are a few of us in this audience here who knew what life was without Google. Right? And I'm not going to expect you to understand what life is without the internet. But you have to remember that because it has become so much enshrined as part of us, it's almost like the air we breathe, that we kind of forget the amount of power that we have when we engage in these activities. So you really should not take, share, or even keep. Understand this last part. Because I sent an email to my counterpart at the cybercrime unit of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service just before I came here. And he replied really late last night. I asked them, if someone has the pictures on their phone, just having the pictures on their phone, not of them, but of someone else, could they get in trouble? And his immediate response was yes. Because, one, you may have invaded someone's privacy by having that image on your phone. Because it was generally not meant to be shared outside, maybe the original person that it was sent to. Almost every picture that you might have of a colleague will be constituted under the term child pornography, and that is illegal in Trinidad and Tobago. Right? So these are some of the reasons, and if you believe, unfortunately, if you believe that you shared it with a one other person, it will more than likely be shared with 900 more. Without your consent. You yourself just say that, what is the next thing you do when somebody says something bad? You just share it. So right now, this girl and this boy have a pretty alright relationship. Okay? And they feel that they're going to live together for eternity. Yeah? And you jump out there yourself. No, but listen to me. Remember, we talk about emotion. And you jump out there yourself and they say, I'm going to do whatever it is this person asks. And you take a picture and you send it. Boom. 2 days after, somebody gave it to somebody. And then you realize, I just want to do everything to get back at this person. You know what that is called? Yeah, back at that. But from a digital perspective, if they decide that they're going to share that image that was meant for you alone, that is actually called revenge porn. And it is listed, understand, it is listed as something that you can be charged for. I'm going to speak to you briefly about this cybercrime bill in a little bit. But here's something else. You know what? I think we all understand all the wrong things that could happen by sharing nude images. If you can, just take a few seconds to read this. This article was written in the Newsday on the 3rd of February this year. Nude pics in group chat anger residents. And I'll just reiterate what went on. So we all have group chats, right? Everybody here in a group chat. Probably in too many group chats. Right. And sometimes we may have inadvertently sent the wrong message in the wrong group chat. Yeah? Well, hear what? This gentleman here, he sent the wrong picture in the wrong group chat. Because he decided he's going to stand up in front of the mirror in his birthday suit and take a picture. And he decided, hey, well, I need to share it with probably one person, but he ended up sharing it with a group that comprised of 150 residents in his community. You understand what went on there? Because you have started to trust the technology so much, and because it's so much a part of you, I'm not focusing on you, there. I'll just never move, right? So because you trust the technology so much, your guard is often removed when you're using your device. So whereas you may have think twice before who you're sending that image to, who you're sharing with, you just click boom, 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 and then, oh my goodness, that just went to 150 people of me in my birthday suit. How am I going to recover from this? Well, you're probably being with a walk in the streets fun. Well, you probably might have to move. More than likely, you might have to move. But here's the thing. Suppose you make that mistake and share it in the group chat for school, where teachers are maybe part of that group chat as well. You could end up in a lot of trouble. Drama is the word. That is the real word. So we need to be really, really cautious. My advice to you, don't take the picture in the first place. But that's just my advice. I know you may probably still do it. Or you may share it. But just remember, this device that you have in your hand and your pocket is extremely powerful. Right? Next question. Please raise your hand. Who are these two gentlemen? Raise your hand. Marshall and Foreman. Yes, very well. Excellent. You also are getting a seat up in front. And in case you think not, there we go. So here's the thing. When we started off here, there were a lot of girls who said, listen, I don't deal up with cyberbullying. I'm not part of that. But why would someone change? Huh? Why would someone change? So, peer pressure is a hell of a thing in the school environment. Yeah, exactly. The fear of being left out. You might be a very good person, know what's the right thing to do, but peer pressure is a hell of a thing, you know. And it is so easy for us to use the device to try and overcome those peer pressures. Fear of being left out, social pressure, fear of being intimidation or scare tactics. People dare people to do those things. And if you don't dare me, I ain't talking to you in a part of our group. Consider whether or not those are true friends. That's not friendship at all. I feel she'll come with me next time I do the presentation because she just on point with everything. So here's the thing, we have to learn to deal with these issues, right? For everyone in the audience here, when we end up in a particular situation on the internet, and we use or we encounter a situation where we've seen someone using the technology in an inappropriate way, don't ignore it. Because you know what? If you just let it slide, the person who is actually feeling the hurt is going to continue feeling that hurt. Don't share it. Listen, it only takes one of you to take a stand. If you know that someone shared a cyberbullying related post, whatever it is, walk up to that person and say, hey, that's not, why you do that? That's not the right thing to do. It really only takes one person to stand up to a bully or a cyberbully to stop the entire scenario from happening. And in my opinion, sharing is, I have as bad, but I personally believe that sharing is worse than posting itself. Right? And we may say, you know, yeah, of course we know that, but we still go ahead and share the things anyhow. That only helps to fuel the fire and make things even worse. So I have my last question here for you. And if anybody get this one out, well, yes. Who is this person? Yes. Rihanna, no, much older than Rihanna. Remember, if you understand the technique that we've been using, I've been showing you old pictures and new pictures. So this is an old picture. Whitney Houston, close but no cigar. It is a local person. No. I say it's a local person, never say Nicki Minaj. Sing. You already here, you can't pop your hand. Calypso Rose, give her a round of applause. And you have got Placide up on top as well. Come on. No, you have to come. You answer the question. Unless if you want to give your seat to someone. Right, but come on. So we're right now to the end of this conversation here, and I'm going to speak to you about this cybercrime bill. Are we aware or have we heard this term before? Cybercrime bill? So it's a law that is about to be proclaimed in Trinidad and Tobago, and it deals specifically with crimes related to internet activities. But the one that I'm focusing on today is that of cyberbullying, and you would note that in the law itself they use the term cyberbullying. And we all understand what a cyberbullying act is, and if not, I'm just going to read this out for you. And look at how broad, pay attention here guys, look at how broad this term is. A cyberbully is someone who uses a computer system to cause fear, intimidation, humiliation, distress, or detriment to another person's emotional health, well-being, or self-esteem. So you have to do much. You don't have to do much to be caught under that concept or idea of being a cyberbully. And if someone feels that they have been so hurt due to that act and they decide to take this case up with law, you can be fined, now, right? You can be fined as little as $100,000 and imprisonment for 3 years, or even up to $250,000 and imprisonment for 5 years. So the services are taking this very seriously. Now, let me just give you a quick example. In case you're thinking that cyberbullying is telling somebody about how they're looking or what the shoes they're wearing. If you went to a food establishment and you didn't like what they ordered, for some reason you had a bad experience, and you went on Facebook and you decided to lambast them left, right, and center. But in doing so, you may have said a few lies. you kind of juice it up a little bit. And that had actually caused reputational damage to the institution, so much so that they lost income and people stopped going there. Or even if you just decide, listen, I'm just going to make up something on the whole and say I find a piece of cockroach in this person's food, and you have no proof or nothing of that at all, that is also, if you post it online, that can also be constituted as an act of cyberbullying, right? So be very wary. Now, even though this act is not proclaimed, we currently have the Offenses Against the Persons Act, right? And it is this act that has already been used to charge individuals. Right here, there was a popular case a few years ago with a cricketer who shared pictures of someone close to him. She didn't want those pictures to be shared, of course, because it was meant for those two individuals. And he had to end up paying a fine of $150,000. Right? Now, because the cybercrime bill was not in place, there was no jail term. But as you have seen there, if the cybercrime bill was in place, he may have had to either pay a lot more and quite possibly enter in jail. So, that brings me to the end of the conversation today. I spoke to you about a few things, but I want you to remember, you have a lot of power in the device that you have in your hand. You can use it for good, you can use it for bad. You have to use it to study now, if I'm not mistaken, right? You're going to have your exams and so on soon on the internet. That means you have to be on your device doing your research. Do not let it disturb you. Know that you need to put it down sometimes when you're actually doing your work. Also understand that when you take that picture, you put it up on, you share it with someone, there is a very high possibility that it might go far beyond your intended reach. So with that, I want to say thank you very much, and I want